All right, let's get started. So welcome to the first Panvala community call, and thank you so much for joining. We'll be hosting these calls every 2 weeks going forward, and it's a great way to connect with other community members and stay up to date to everything happening in Panvala. So we're very excited about starting this, and we hope you all are too. So to kick this off, we're going to start with some introductions, just so everyone has a better idea who is who. So you can tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what project you're working on, why you're participating in Panvala, a fun fact about you, really anything you'd like to share. This is your chance to do so. And when you're done introducing yourself, if you could please say the name of the next person so they can then introduce themselves, and that way we don't have any silences. So I'll go first. I am Romana, and I'm the community manager for Panvala. I've been working at Consensus for over a year now, and it's been fun. It's been great. I'm originally from the Netherlands, but I have lived in London, France, and Spain in the last couple of years. And the fun fact about me is that I have a twin brother. Peter, could you go next?
Hi everyone. My name is Peter. I live in Russia, in Ijevsk. It's about 1,000 kilometers from from Moscow. I'm founder of Upala Digital Identity, now sponsored by Panvala. Thank you very much for that. We are now in early research phase. We are focusing on Sybil resistance and recovery mechanism for identity. A few days ago, I published our thoughts on recovery, and now I think we are mostly focusing on Sybil resistance, and have some. And on recovery, we have some ZK snugs code. A fun fact about me, I'm now sitting on near a closed supermarket. It's 10 p.m. here. It's raining. I have a brother, it's not a twin. Thank you. I'm passing a microphone to Jacob Cantelli, if I'm spelling it right.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jacob Cantelli. I lead product and operations for Panvala. Been with Consensus for about a year as well. Let's see. So before this, I built a real estate tech startup and sold it to a large company that I have to not name. I am really passionate about Ethereum and the ecosystem and things like that. I sort of discovered Bitcoin and Ethereum through my experience as an activist in Occupy Wall Street. It was a really important experience in my life to me. I will call on Mary.
Hi guys, this is actually Sandra and Mary tuning in from Mary's computer, but we both work at Waxman PR, and we have the pleasure of working with Panvala. I'm a senior consultant. Mary is
an executive at Waxman.
And I guess a fun fact from me is that I'm relatively new to blockchain and crypto. So I'm very excited to be learning along with the Panvala team. And before that, I actually worked for 8 years with United Way in nonprofit. And I think that's a fun fact because 8 years is a long time to work anywhere as a millennial. So, and I will pass it on to Niran.
Hello, everybody. I'm Niran Dabalova. I'm the founder of Panvala. I've been working at Consensus for over 4 years now, and on Panvala in particular for a year and a half. I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm currently in Auckland right now, which is interesting. Fun fact about me, I just got married, so it's my honeymoon right now, but it's a good chance for a community calm. The next person is Daniel.
I think Daniel dropped. Do you want to call on somebody else?
I'll go next. That's fine. Hold on, let me turn my video on, just so you can see my face. Hi, my name is Akuya. Hi. I am a programmer at Panvala. I've been working on that project since February. I mainly was working on the smart contracts, but those have been deployed. So I've been working on API and front end. So if you have smart contract questions, I'm probably the person to ask about that. Before Panvala, I worked on ad chain. So it was interesting being involved with the first TCR and learning about how people interacted with that. And even before that, I worked at a design firm making interactive exhibits for museums and libraries and corporate lobbies and stuff like that. I really care a lot about the experience that people have when they use something as a result. That is it for me. I will pass it to Joshua. You're still muted.
Better? Okay, not muted. My name is Joshua. I'm from Chicago, and I recently moved to Texas via Virginia. I started with Panvala. This is my second month doing business development. Before that, I was doing business development for Lyft, and I joined the space to help bring lots of Web 2 companies and legacy companies into funding the open source ecosystem. So really excited to do that.
I think that was everyone. So I'll start sharing my screen. 1 second. Perfect. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, so I'll quickly go through the agenda so that everyone knows what we'll be discussing today. So introductions, we already did. So next up, there's some important recent and upcoming events. And after that, and I'm really excited about that, we'll tell you about a new product feature, which is called Panvala Pulse, and it will be launched next week. So you all are actually the first to see it, hear about it, get feedback on it. So I think that's super exciting. Then of course there's time to ask us any questions you have. And then we'd love to hear your opinion on how we can improve these calls, what topics you would like to discuss going forward, perhaps which projects you would like us to invite as a guest, and so on. Yeah, so the first update, Panvala accepted the Assotrope's recommendations on September 29th. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Assotrope, it is a Panvala advisory group. In Panvala, anyone can form an advisory group to issue recommendations for grants. And the main aim of those advisory groups is, of course, to have the support of token holders. And in order to achieve that, advisory groups seek their feedback on the recommendations that they make and let them influence their recommendations before a slate of grants is created. If token holders do not agree with the recommendation that has been made, the way to challenge that recommendation is to create a competing slate in the Panvala Disputes app. This quarter, that did not happen there was no challenge. So the Assotrope's recommendations were accepted. Is this clear? Does anyone have any questions about this? All right. So the tokens of batch 4 were released on November 1st. So right now I'd just like to quickly summarize which teams got grants and for what work. So the first grantee is Whiteblock for lib PDP testing. So what they are doing is conducting performance tests on lib PDP's libraries. And that is important because many blockchain projects are relying on the assumption that lib PDP will perform as projected. And so it's great that Whiteblock is actually running tests to ensure that's the case. Gnosis has received a grant for the security audit of their conditional token framework. This framework allows developers to easily combine token transfers with any number of conditions. That is useful for prediction markets, but also for state channels in general. Our third grantee, Consensus Diligence, they received a grant for their security audit of the Viper compiler. Viper is a growing language for the Ethereum virtual machine that can be used as an alternative to Solidity. Besides the need for smart contracts to be audited, as I hope we all know, compiler audits are also necessary to ensure that contracts behave as expected. So that's what they received a grant for. Next up, I'm not sure I pronounced this right, but it's Lorium, and they received a grant for Escape, which stands for, here we go, Enterprise State Channel Application Programming Environment. So I'm happy they came up with Escape. It is a software as a service platform that simplifies the design of state channels and aids with the deployment and management of the infrastructure components. Fifth, BlockRocket received a grant for Please Relay Me, which is an interest-funded transaction layer. Pegasus received a grant for their beacon chain client called Artemis. Graham McBain is working on plugins for no-code development platforms that will let anyone build Ethereum apps without needing to know how to code. I think that's pretty cool. And then the last grants, one grant went to the Assotrope for reviewing applications and making a recommendation. And other grants went to Consensus Pen. The grants will be used to build new staking features, as well as to sponsor local Ethereum meetups and send tokens to engaged community members so they can influence the decisions Panvala makes. If you'd like more information about these grant recipients, because I know we went through this pretty fast, there's a forum post called the Assotrope's Batch 4 Recommendations. And in there, there's a download link for a PDF with more info on all these grant recipients, as well as the Assotrope in general. So just out of curiosity, I was wondering which of these projects you all are most excited about and which ones you would like to learn more about. Anyone?
Can you go back a slide?
Yes.
I'm personally most excited about the work that BlockRocket is doing. So there's a lot of interest right now in using basically tokens held in a smart contract to earn interest and then use that interest for any kind of purpose. Some people are doing it for charitable purposes. Some people are doing it for other reasons. And I think it's an interesting application to try to fund people's gas fees using interest from Ether that they hold. I think that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally interested in the Viper security audit, mainly because I'm interested in possibly using Viper in the future, for smart contracts. And it's, as far as I understand, still in beta, and having somebody audit it and, help work out the security issues is an important step to feeling confident that it's something that we could actually use for real things.
Mm-hmm. What would be your reason for using Viper over Solidity?
Well, it's designed to make certain kinds of errors more difficult or impossible to make, and then also my understanding is that the bytecode is smaller, so it would cost less money to deploy the contract, and presumably also to call the functions on the contract. So just smaller in general.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. We'll go to the next slide.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I'm interested in Gnosis platform because Gnosis Safe is very close to what we are doing. So I'm interested in everything related to Gnosis.
Perfect. Is there a specific thing that Gnosis is doing that you think would be very useful for Upala?
Yes, we do like very much their safe Gnosis Safe project, and actually the code that I mentioned, I wrote for recovery modules for the Gnosis Safe. So we are, I think we will use their code in our system.
Okay, that's interesting. I'd love to hear more about that at some point. All right, anyone else? All right. So some key dates about batch 5, our next batch of grants. So grant applications can be made until November 22nd, and those grants will be released on January 31st. 2 million pen will be released, which is currently worth over $50K US. And that brings us to the next topic, which is what should be funded in batch 5. And so we are launching Panvala polls as a way for token holders to influence grant allocation. So the Panvala poll is meant to surface the opinions and priorities of Panvala's token holders and make this information available to the community as a whole. So we are launching this feature next week, after which there will be a voting period from the 13th to the 19th of November. And so during that period, token holders can vote on different grant categories, and people can buy tokens to increase their voting weight. So we'll show you that now. Yeah, so this is what that will look like. So to participate, you'll first want to ensure that you have MetaMask installed and that your pen tokens are in your MetaMask wallet. Like mentioned before, you can increase your voting power by purchasing additional tokens on Uniswap. And the interesting thing is that while purchasing tokens on Uniswap, you are not just increasing your voting power, but also the demand for pen tokens. So it's kind of like putting money into the hands of grant recipients while you're increasing your voting power. So what you want to do next is connect your MetaMask wallet. And once it is connected, the app will indicate your balance in the application and you can get started. So if we scroll down here, you will see the poll. And as you can see, there are different categories. So right now, there's an Ethereum 2.0 category, a layer 2 scaling one, security, developer tools and growth, dApps and usability, and Panvala. And each category has a description, and it also includes past Panvala grant recipients in that category, as well as potential grant recipients in that category. And it also shows you the percentage of funding that was allocated to that category in the last batch of grants. And so beside each category, there's a field where you can indicate the percentage of the quarterly budget that you believe should be allocated to this category. And so, of course, when doing that, you have to make sure that the percentage points add up to 100, but the app will help you with that if you're having trouble with it. So when you filled all of that in, you can go ahead here. You don't have to fill in this information. It's all optional. You can click here and submit your preferences. Then you will get a prompt to sign using your MetaMask wallet. There are no transactions required. And yeah, then you will also know what your current voting power is. So an important thing to note is that the polls last from November 13th to November 19th. So this needs to be changed. It's 13 to 19. If you sell your tokens or move them to another wallet, the voting power of that wallet address will be whatever it is at the end of the poll. So inversely, that means that if you purchase more tokens before the end of the poll, your voting power will be increased. Also important to note, you won't lose any tokens regardless of the poll result. So that's it for the poll. So if you have any questions about the poll or anything else, you can ask them now. Stop sharing. Does anyone have any questions or feedback on the poll? What do you think about it? Well, that's good. I think that means it's clear, so that's a good thing. Then I'll move on to the next question, which is about our next community call, which will take place on November 19th. So I was just wondering if anyone has any ideas on how we can improve these calls, how we can make them the most useful for you, the most fun. Yeah, anything you have on that topic, we'd love to know.
Oh, everything's fine.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear.
Romana,
Yeah.
are these the calls that that like the grant applicants will like come on and pitch?
Yes, correct. I mean, pitch.
Recipients or applicants, that's a new idea. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's actually, that's an interesting proposal.
I think it would be great to have some of the past grant winners come and talk about what they've been, the progress that they've been making.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. So Peter, perhaps you can present on one of the calls.
You mean today, right now?
No. That's a call. Unless you wanted to.
If you want, I can give some progress.
I mean, if you'd like we love hearing about the projects that have received grants. So if you'd like to share something, we definitely like to hear it. Yeah.
Not very much, but the major thing I want to share is that Panvala grant just allowed to move on. So I was almost not almost, but out of funds, and had to search for a job, and then I received this grant and just stayed on the project and keep the research. So and among the results, as I mentioned before, is structuring. I don't know how to say exactly. We made this document which gathered all our thoughts on recovery process, and made some code and so it's hard to translate still. I have very little practice. So we reasoned about our on our decision making. So And in our grant proposal, we asked the grant for specification on recovery, and I think we are really close. It's just a matter of writing this specification. We got everything in our heads invented, so to say. So again, thank you very much. I hope we will ship and bring more benefits in research and code. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Hey, Peter, would you be willing to maybe write a testimonial of what you just said? Just like a few sentences, and you could take your time writing it however you want, but maybe send that to us. We'd love to like share those stories with the community. It really, really helps us get the initial traction that we need.
Do you mean if I want to write something in my blog, or
that would be amazing too. Or you could just send us a few sentences, and we could include some information about you and your project and your statement on our website or on our materials and places like that.
Sure. I wanted myself to make a short blog post on that. So, and I wanted to mention in forum of Panvala that small teams like me and like us, it's just two of us and only me full time. I think small teams will benefit the most from Panvala, and the ecosystem will benefit the most of small teams, because it's like venture investing. So very little sums, but they mean a lot. And I hope we will bring a lot of benefit in small projects like us. So I wish there would be more small projects on the list.
That's very helpful. Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much for saying that.
What's your website?
Thank you.
Do you have your website?
I have everything that we do, all our research, we publish in our blog post. Are you asking me?
Yes, I'm asking you.
Okay. So there is a blog for Panvala. I think you can search it, and it will come up. It's on medium.com. So Medium.
Okay, thank you.
Medium. Yep.
All right. Well, Peter, thank you so much for sharing and connecting with us. It's really useful for us to hear your feedback and hear about Upala and your progress. Yeah, we're really excited to see what the next few months will bring Upala. So that's great. If no one else has any questions or comments, then I think we can close the call. All right, perfect. Thank you everyone for joining, and see you next time, hopefully.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye, guys.